Welcome, everyone. Whether you're a frequent flyer or dreaming of your first trip abroad, you've found the perfect place. This is more than just a listening lesson. This is your personal audio guide to navigating the complex and exciting world of an international airport with confidence. I'll be your guide, and together, we're going to walk through every step, from the hectic check-in counters to the quiet moment at the gate. I'll give you the phrases you need to hear, the vocabulary you must know, and the cultural tips that will make everything smoother. So, please, put on your headphones, and let's begin our journey. Our flight to fluency is now boarding. The first sound that hits me is always the same, a symphony of chaos. A low, constant hum of 1,000 conversations, the distant beep-beep-beep of a baggage cart reversing, and the sharp, echoing announcements that seem to come from everywhere at once. I take a deep breath. This is it. The airport. For many, this is the most stressful part of the journey, but not for us. Not today. Because we are prepared. The key to conquering this chaos is not just knowing what to say, but training your ears to understand what is being said around you. Let's break down that first overwhelming soundscape. Those announcements are your lifeline. They are called PA announcements, which stands for public address. They can be difficult to understand because of the echo and the background noise, but they all follow a similar pattern. Listen for keywords like flight, boarding, final call, gate, and delay. If you hear your flight number, pay close attention. The airline staff making these announcements are often speaking quickly, but they use a standard, predictable English. We will practice this. My first mission is to find the correct check-in desk. I look up at the massive departure boards, glowing with information. This is the FIDS, the Flight Information Display System. It looks complicated, but it's simple once you know what to look for. My eyes scan for my flight number, let's say it's AC 957 to Toronto. There it is. Next, I look for the counter. It says counter 34. Perfect. I wheel my luggage towards row 34. Now, a crucial listening tip. As I approach, I hear snippets of conversations between passengers and airline agents. This is gold. Listen to this typical exchange. The passenger says, "Hello, I'm checking in for flight AC 957 to Toronto." The agent taps on her keyboard and replies, "Do you have your passport?" Simple, right? But this is the core of airport English. The agent might then ask, "How many bags are you checking in, or do you have any carry-on luggage?" Or a very important question, "Did you pack these bags yourself?" You must be ready to hear and answer these questions clearly. The line for check-in moves forward slowly. I use this time to listen. The family in front of me is having an issue with their baggage allowance. The agent says, "I'm sorry, but this suitcase is 23 kilograms. The limit for economy is 23 kilos. You have two options. You can remove some items and put them in your carry-on, or you can pay an excess baggage fee." This is a very common situation. The phrases baggage allowance, weight limit, and excess baggage fee are essential vocabulary. The agent offers two clear options. Understanding these options gives the passenger control. Finally, it's my turn. I step forward with a smile. "Good morning. I'm checking in for flight AC 957 to Toronto." The agent takes my passport. "Good morning. Do you have any bags to check?" "Just this one," I say, placing my suitcase on the scale. The digital display reads 21.5. Perfect. She places a tag on it and hands me my boarding pass. Here is your boarding pass. Your flight is scheduled to depart from Gate B12 at 11:30. Boarding will begin at 10:50. I recommend proceeding to security and passport control at least an hour before boarding. I thank her and take the precious document. The boarding pass. Let's look at it closely, virtually of course. It has your name, flight number, date, and scheduled departure time. But the most critical pieces of information are the gate and the boarding time. The gate can change, so always double-check the screens. The agent said scheduled to depart. This is important. In airport English, scheduled means planned, but it is not a guarantee. If a flight is on time, it means it is following the schedule. If it is delayed, it is late. You might hear an announcement like, Flight AC 957 to Toronto is delayed. The new estimated departure time is 12:45. This is why listening is a continuous process. Now, with my boarding pass in hand, I face the next challenge, security. This is where you need to understand clear, instructional English. The rules are strict for everyone's safety. As I join the queue, I hear a security officer giving instructions. Please have your boarding pass and passport ready for inspection. Remove all electronic devices larger than a cell phone from your bags. This includes laptops, tablets, and e-readers. Place them in a separate bin. All liquids must be in containers of 100 milliliters or less and placed inside a single, transparent, resealable plastic bag. This is a lot of information at once, but it's standardized. Practice these terms: liquids, transparent bag, separate bin, electronic devices. When it's my turn, I hand over my documents, ready to follow the instructions smoothly. My turn at the security checkpoint arrives. I hand my boarding pass and passport to the officer. He looks at them, looks at me, and gives a short nod. Proceed. I now focus on the security officer managing the conveyor belt. Her voice is clear and direct. Please place all carry-on bags and any metal objects from your pockets into the bins. Remove your shoes and belts. If you are wearing a jacket, that must go in a bin as well. This process is called divesting. I quickly empty my pockets, placing my wallet, phone, and keys into a small gray bin. My laptop goes into its own bin, as instructed. I take off my shoes and belt and place them next to my bag. It feels a bit vulnerable, but it's a universal experience. I walk towards the large metal arch of the scanner. Another officer gestures for me to step forward. Please step onto the footprints. Arms slightly out from your body. I stand on the marked yellow footprints and assume the position. For a second, nothing happens. Then, a green light blinks, and the officer says, "You're clear. You can collect your belongings." A wave of relief washes over me. I move to the other side of the conveyor belt to gather my things. This is a crucial listening moment too. You must listen for your own safety. An officer might say, "Wait, sir, if you forget something or if there's an issue with your bag." I once heard an announcement, "Would the passenger who left a black iPad at checkpoint C please return to claim it?" Pay attention to your belongings and the instructions. As I put my belt back on, I hear a conversation at the next lane. A passenger didn't remove his laptop. The security officer says, "I'm sorry, sir, but we need to run your bag through again. You need to remove all large electronics and place them in a separate bin." The passenger looks flustered but complies. This is a perfect example of why listening is so important. A small misunderstanding can cause delays and stress. The word "run your bag through again" means to put it through the X-ray machine another time. You might also hear the phrase secondary inspection, which means they need to look inside your bag manually. It's not necessarily a problem, just a standard procedure. Stay calm and cooperative. With the security hurdle cleared, I enter a new world, the airside terminal. This is the space between security and the gates. It's often filled with shops, restaurants, and a sense of anticipation. My first stop is the large departure board again. I need to confirm my gate, B12. The board still shows B12, and the status is on time. That's a relief. But I know this can change in an instant. A crucial listening tip: gate changes are very common. You might hear an announcement like, "Attention passengers on flight AC 957 to Toronto. This flight will now be boarding from gate B18. I repeat, a gate change for flight AC 957 to Toronto. Now boarding from gate B18. Your ability to catch your flight number and the new gate number is vital. Always keep one ear open for these announcements. I decide to walk towards my gate to get my bearings. On the way, I pass through the duty-free area. A salesperson offers a sample. "Would you like to try our new cologne?" he asks. I smile and say, "No, thank you." This is a simple but common interaction. Remember, you are not obligated to buy anything. A polite "no, thank you" is always sufficient. As I continue, I hear a boarding call for another flight. This is the final boarding call for flight BA288 to London Heathrow. All remaining passengers for flight BA288, please proceed immediately to gate A7. This is the final call. The phrase "final boarding call" is urgent. It means the gate is about to close. You do not want to hear this for your own flight. Finding gate B12, I see that boarding hasn't started yet. The screen next to the gate confirms the 10:50 boarding time. I have about 20 minutes. This is the perfect time to practice more listening. I find a seat where I can observe the gate area. I listen to the gate agents talking to each other. "We're waiting for the aircraft to be cleaned and refueled," one says. Another answers a passenger's question. "Yes, ma'am, we will begin boarding by rows, starting with business class and passengers with small children or those needing extra assistance." This is valuable information. They call this pre-boarding. Knowing the sequence helps you understand when it's your turn. The quiet hum of the gate area is suddenly broken by a chime, followed by a voice. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to gate B12 for flight AC 957, non-stop service to Toronto. At this time, we would like to invite our passengers traveling with small children, or any passengers requiring special assistance, to begin boarding." This is it. The process has started. I watch as a few families approach the gate agent. The term special assistance refers to passengers who may need a wheelchair or extra time to board. It's important to wait for your specific group or row to be called to avoid crowding. The gate agent makes another announcement. "We will now begin boarding our Premier and Star Alliance Gold members. This is the next tier. I listen carefully. My boarding pass says Zone 3. I know I have to wait. Impatient passengers sometimes crowd the gate early, but it's much more efficient to wait for your call. This is a classic example of airport etiquette. The agent then calls. We now invite passengers in zones 1 and 2 to board. The line forms and moves steadily. I hear the constant beep as boarding passes are scanned. Then, the call I've been waiting for. Now boarding passengers in Zone 3. I join the line, holding my boarding pass and passport ready. The agent takes them, scans the barcode, and another, louder beep confirms it's accepted. She hands them back to me. Have a pleasant flight, she says with a professional smile. Thank you, I reply. I walk down the jet bridge, that enclosed tunnel that connects the terminal to the aircraft. The sound changes again, it's a hollow, metallic echo. I can see the massive body of the plane through the windows. I am almost there. The final step is the greeting at the aircraft door. I step through the aircraft door and am greeted by a flight attendant. Her smile is warm and genuine. Good morning, welcome aboard, she says. I return the greeting and proceed into the cabin. The environment is completely different now. It's a confined, busy space with a distinct smell of clean air and anticipation. Another flight attendant is directing traffic. Rows 1 through 15, to the left. Rows 16 and higher, to the right, please. This is a crucial instruction to prevent a logjam at the front of the aircraft. I listen carefully. My seat is 24B, so I turn to the right. The aisle is a slow-moving river of people stowing their carry-on luggage and settling into their seats. I use this time to listen to the interactions around me. A passenger a few rows ahead is struggling with a full overhead bin. A flight attendant approaches and says, "Sir, it looks like this bin is full. You may need to place your bag in an overhead compartment further back. You can retrieve it once we have landed." This is a common occurrence. The phrase overhead compartment or overhead bin is standard. The attendant's instruction is clear and helpful. I finally reach my row, 24. I see that my seat, 24B, is the middle seat. The window seat, 24A, is already occupied by a woman looking out the window, and the aisle seat, 24C, is taken by a man who stands up to let me in. This is a key moment for polite phrases. I say, "Excuse me, I'm in the middle seat." He replies, "Of course," and steps out into the aisle. I slide into my seat, storing my small backpack under the seat in front of me, as instructed by the safety guidelines. I hear the flight attendant repeating this to another passenger. For takeoff and landing, all bags must be completely under the seat in front of you. The cabin is full now, a low buzz of conversation and the final snaps of overhead bins closing. Then, the main cabin lights dim slightly, and a familiar chime rings through the airplane. A hush falls over the passengers. This is it, the pre-flight safety demonstration. I know it's tempting to tune this out, but for an English learner, this is a goldmine of practical vocabulary and instructions delivered in clear, standardized English. The chief flight attendant speaks into the interphone, her voice calm and measured. "Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Captain Evans and your entire crew, we welcome you aboard this Airbus A330 aircraft. Our flight time to Toronto will be approximately 1 hour and 45 minutes. She then begins the course safety instructions. I follow along, mentally noting the key phrases. Please ensure your seatbelt is securely fastened. To fasten, insert the metal tab into the buckle and pull tight. To release, lift the flap of the buckle. The word fasten is crucial here. It means to close or secure. You might also hear secure or buckle. She continues, your seatbelt must be fastened whenever you are seated, and especially during takeoff, turbulence, and landing. Next, she points to the oxygen masks. If cabin pressure changes, oxygen masks will automatically drop from the compartment above your head. Pull the mask towards you to start the flow of oxygen. Place the mask over your nose and mouth, secure the elastic band behind your head, and breathe normally. Please secure your own mask before assisting others. This is a classic sequence of instructions. Notice the verbs pull, place, secure, breathe. It's a clear, step-by-step guide. The phrase cabin pressure changes is a polite way of saying if there is a loss of air in the cabin. She moves on to the life vests, located beneath our seats. Your life vest is located under your seat. To put it on, slip it over your head. Then, pass the straps around your waist and clip the buckle. To inflate, pull down firmly on the red tabs. Please do not inflate the life vest inside the aircraft. The distinction between putting it on and inflating it is important. Inflating means to fill with air. She finishes by pointing out the nearest exits. Your nearest exit may be behind you. Floor-level lighting will guide you to the exits. This entire demonstration is a masterclass in instructional English. The safety demonstration concludes, and the flight attendants take their seats for takeoff. A new voice fills the cabin, deep and assured. It's the captain. Good morning, this is Captain Evans from the flight deck. We've received our final clearance from air traffic control and are number 2 for takeoff. The weather in Toronto is clear and a pleasant 22 degrees Celsius. We expect a smooth flight all the way. Cabin crew, please prepare for departure. This announcement is filled with key phrases. Final clearance means official permission. Number 2 for takeoff means there is one plane ahead of us on the runway. This kind of specific information is common and good to understand. I feel a gentle jolt as the plane begins to move backwards. This is called pushback, where a small vehicle pushes the aircraft away from the gate. The flight attendant's voice comes on again. Cabin crew, all doors to automatic and cross-check. This is a technical command for the crew, but you can hear the professionalism. Outside my window, the ground crew waves, and the plane begins to taxi under its own power. Taxiing means moving slowly along the ground towards the runway. It can take several minutes. As we taxi, I listen to the myriad of sounds. The low whine of the engines, the subtle hydraulic whir of the flaps adjusting, and the continued, calm announcements. We ask that you please ensure your seatbacks are in their upright position, your tray tables are stowed, and all window shades are up for takeoff. There are reasons for these rules. Upright seatbacks and stowed tray tables clear the path for a quick evacuation if needed. Open window shades allow passengers and crew to see outside in an emergency, helping to identify which side of the aircraft is safer to exit. It's not just arbitrary, it's about safety. We reach the runway and turn onto it without stopping. The engines power up with a deep, rising roar. The force pushes me gently back into my seat. This is it. The captain might say, "Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff." This is the final command before we accelerate down the runway. The noise is overwhelming, a powerful vibration that fills everything. I look out the window and see the ground speeding by in a blur. It's a moment of pure physics, and understanding the English that leads up to it makes the experience less mysterious and more incredible. The roaring ascent gradually softens into a steady, humming cruise. The sharp angle of the climb levels out, and the familiar double chime rings through the cabin. The pilot's voice returns. "This is your captain again. We have now reached our cruising altitude of 35,000 feet. The fastened seatbelt sign has been turned off. You are free to move about the cabin, but we do recommend keeping your seatbelt fastened while you're seated, as we may encounter unexpected turbulence. This is a standard and important announcement. Cruising altitude is the height at which the plane travels for most of the flight. The phrase unexpected turbulence refers to sudden, bumpy air. It's a good safety habit to keep your belt loosely fastened." Almost immediately, I hear the clatter of a cart. The in-flight service is beginning. A flight attendant announces to her colleague, "I'll start with coffee and tea from the front." This is my chance to practice a real-life interaction. When the attendant reaches my row, she smiles and asks, "Would you care for a drink?" We have coffee, tea, orange juice, water, and soft drinks. Her question, "Would you care for a drink?" is a polite way of saying, "Do you want a drink?" I need to respond clearly. "Could I have some water, please?" I ask. "Still or sparkling?" she replies. This is a common follow-up question. Still means without gas, sparkling means with gas. "Still, please," I say. "Here you go," she says, handing me a small bottle. A few minutes later, the meal cart arrives. The same attendant presents the options. Today we have a choice between grilled chicken with rice or pasta with a tomato sauce. Which would you prefer? I choose the chicken. She hands me a tray. "Thank you," I say. The entire exchange is simple, but it requires listening for the options and making a choice. You might also hear, "Would you like the chicken or the pasta?" It's the same question phrased differently. If you didn't hear, it's perfectly okay to ask, "Could you repeat the options, please?" Politeness is universal. The gentle hum of the aircraft is a constant companion now. The meal service has concluded, and the flight attendants are collecting the trash. "May I take your tray, sir?" one asks me. I hand over my empty tray. "Thank you," she says. This simple exchange is a cornerstone of in-flight interaction. It's always good to be polite and cooperative. I decide to stretch my legs and walk to the back of the cabin. Near the galley, I hear two flight attendants discussing the flight. The captain said we might have a little bumpiness ahead, so we should secure the carts early. This is insider information. Bumpiness is another word for light turbulence. It's a more casual term than turbulence. I use the lavatory, and as I wash my hands, I hear a pre-recorded announcement. For your safety and comfort, please return to your seat and fasten your seatbelt if the fasten seatbelt sign is illuminated. The language is always very precise. Illuminated means lit up. It's a more formal word for on. When I return to my seat, I notice the man in the aisle seat is watching a movie. I can see the English subtitles on his screen. This is actually a fantastic way to practice listening. Watching movies with English audio and subtitles helps connect the written word to the spoken sound. I settle back into my seat and put on my headphones. I tune into the air traffic control channel on the in-flight entertainment system. It's fascinating to listen to the pilots and controllers communicate. The language is incredibly concise and full of jargon. Toronto Centre, this is Speedbird 287, maintaining flight level 370. This specialized English is for professionals, but hearing the rhythm and clarity is great practice. It reinforces the importance of speaking clearly and using standard phrases, which is exactly what we've been practicing for all the passenger-facing interactions. The predictability of the language is its greatest strength. A subtle shift in the engine's pitch signals the beginning of our descent. The captain's voice confirms it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the captain. We have begun our initial descent into the Toronto area. The local time is 1:15 p.m. The weather is beautiful, sunny with a few clouds. We should be on the ground in about 30 minutes. At this time, flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for arrival. This announcement marks the start of the final phase of our journey. The phrase initial descent means the start of going down. Prepare the cabin for arrival is the instruction for the crew to begin their landing duties. The flight attendants immediately spring into action. I hear their clear, instructional voices throughout the cabin. Sir, please return your seat back to its full upright position. Ma'am, I need you to stow your tray table. They walk through the aisles, performing a final check. This is a mandatory procedure. Another announcement plays. All personal electronic devices must be switched to airplane mode or turned off for landing. Please ensure all your carry-on luggage is securely stowed in the overhead compartments or completely under the seat in front of you. The language is direct and leaves no room for ambiguity. Stowed means put away securely. I feel a slight pressure in my ears as the plane continues to descend. I know a good trick is to yawn or swallow to equalize the pressure. Outside my window, the world is getting closer. I can see roads and houses becoming distinct. The flight attendants take their seats for landing, and I hear the final, definitive click of their seatbelts. The plane banks into a gentle turn, aligning itself with the runway. The flaps on the wings extend further with a heavy, mechanical whirring sound, slowing our speed. The landing gear lowers with a loud, solid thud that vibrates through the entire fuselage. That sound is unmistakable. We are now seconds from touching the ground. The ground rushes up to meet us with incredible speed. For a moment, it feels like we are moving too fast, but then there is a gentle bump, a slight bounce, and the solid, reassuring rumble of the wheels firmly gripping the tarmac. The reverse thrust of the engines roars loudly, pushing me forward against my seatbelt. We have landed. The pilot's voice is calm and professional. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Toronto Pearson International Airport. The local time is 1:48 p.m. On behalf of the entire crew, I thank you for flying with us today. Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened until the aircraft has come to a complete stop at the gate and the fastened seatbelt sign has been turned off. The plane slows rapidly and begins to taxi off the runway. A wave of applause sweeps through the cabin, a common tradition for safe landings. The flight attendant comes on once more. Please remain in your seats until we are parked at the gate and the seatbelt sign is off. Use caution when opening the overhead bins, as contents may have shifted during flight. The phrase "contents may have shifted" is a standard warning. It means your bags might have moved and could fall out when you open the bin. It's important to listen for this. The aircraft maneuvers through a complex network of taxiways, slowly making its way to our assigned gate. I see other planes, ground vehicles, and workers directing us with glowing wands. Finally, we come to a smooth stop. A final chime rings, and the fasten seatbelt sign goes dark. The immediate rustle of hundreds of people unbuckling and standing up fills the cabin. However, there is no need to rush. The doors aren't even open yet. An announcement confirms this. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just parked at the gate. Please remain seated until the seatbelt sign is turned off and we have opened the aircraft doors. I stay seated, knowing that disembarking is a slow process. I hear the clunk of the jet bridge connecting to the plane. The wait is almost over. I step out of the plane and into the jet bridge, and the air feels different. It's the air of a new country. The walk to the main terminal is a long one, following signs for arrivals and baggage reclaim. This is a critical time for listening. Airport announcements in the arrival hall are just as important. I hear a recorded message: all passengers arriving from international flights, please proceed to passport control. Have your travel documents ready. The terms passport control and customs are now the key destinations. The flow of people is directed towards large halls with lines. I join the line for non-residents. The officers are processing people one by one. I listen to the questions they ask the passenger ahead of me. What is the purpose of your visit? Business or pleasure? How long will you be staying in Canada? Where will you be staying? These are the standard questions at border control. I mentally prepare my own clear and concise answers. The ability to understand these questions and respond accurately is the final, crucial test of your airport English. The vocabulary is specific: purpose of visit, duration of stay, accommodation. When it's my turn, I am ready. The border officer stamps my passport and hands it back. Welcome to Canada, he says. I proceed to the next stage, baggage reclaim. I look at the massive screens to find the carousel for my flight, AC 957. It's carousel 4. I hear an announcement: attention passengers from flight AC 957 from London. All baggage from your flight is now being delivered on carousel 4. The word carousel is the rotating baggage belt. The announcement might also say, your baggage will be delivered on carousel 4. I wait, and soon, my suitcase appears, a welcome sight after the long journey. I collect my suitcase from the carousel, a small but significant victory. The final official hurdle is customs. I see 2 lines with large signs: nothing to declare and goods to declare. I have nothing to declare, so I join that line. A customs officer is randomly selecting passengers for a few questions. He asks the man in front of me, "Did you purchase any goods overseas exceeding the duty-free allowance?" The man looks confused. The officer rephrases it. "Are you bringing back more than $800 worth of items you bought abroad?" This is a great example of how officials might use a formal term first, then a simpler one. Duty-free allowance is the key phrase here. The officer waves the man through and then looks at me. I make brief eye contact and smile. He gives a nod, indicating I can proceed. Sometimes you may be asked to press a button that randomly lights up either a green light for go or a red light for inspection. It's a random selection process. I walk through the designated green channel, and just like that, I have officially entered the country. The doors slide open, and I am greeted by the bustling arrivals hall. It's a scene of joyful reunions, with people holding signs and families embracing. I hear a final, familiar airport announcement. The white zone is for immediate loading and unloading of passengers only. No parking. This is a classic airport announcement that reminds me the journey is truly over. I need to find my way to ground transportation, whether it's a taxi, a train, or a friend picking me up. The signs are clear, and my listening practice has paid off at every single step. From the first chaotic sound at departure to this moment of arrival, understanding the flow of English made the entire experience smooth and manageable. I feel a sense of accomplishment, not just from traveling, but from having successfully navigated the entire process in another language. The final set of automated doors slid open, and the cacophony of the arrivals hall hit me with a new kind of force. It was no longer the controlled chaos of departures, but the vibrant, emotional chaos of reunions. I tightened my grip on my suitcase handle and moved forward, weaving through families embracing and drivers holding up signs with handwritten names. My focus now shifted from understanding airport procedures to navigating this final, social labyrinth. I needed to find my way to the taxi stand, and my ears were still my most valuable tool. I followed the signs for ground transportation and taxis, which led me down a long corridor. A recorded voice played on a loop, "For your safety, please use only licensed taxis." Licensed taxis are available at the designated stand outside door number 3. The phrase licensed taxis is crucial. In many cities, unlicensed taxis can be unsafe or overpriced. This announcement was a vital piece of advice, disguised as a simple instruction. I made a mental note to always look for the official taxi queue. I joined an orderly line for taxis. A dispatcher in a bright vest was directing people. "Next, please." "How many passengers?" he asked each person in line. When it was my turn, I said, "Just one, please." He gestured to the next available cab and said to the driver, "One passenger." I opened the back door, put my suitcase in the seat beside me, and settled in. The driver turned and asked, "Where to?" This was the moment. I needed to state my destination clearly. "To the city center, please." "The Grand Central Hotel," I said, enunciating clearly. He nodded, "Okay," and started the meter. The simple exchange was successful. As we pulled away from the curb, I took one last look at the massive airport terminal, a city in itself. The journey was complete. Every announcement, every question, every listen-to interaction had built upon the last, creating a seamless path from one country to another. The hum of the taxi merged with the city's sounds, a new audio landscape to explore. But for now, I relaxed, the confidence from successfully navigating the airport in English making the unfamiliar city outside the window feel a little less daunting and a lot more exciting. The taxi ride was a blur of new sights and sounds, but my mind was still processing the linguistic journey of the airport. I realized that the process of leaving the airport and entering the city was another layer of practical English. The driver had understood my destination immediately, a small but significant victory. We arrived at the Grand Central Hotel, and I paid the fare, adding a tip as is customary here. "Thank you, have a good day," I said as I got out. The driver nodded, "You too." I entered the hotel lobby, another formal environment where clear communication was key. I approached the front desk. The clerk looked up. "Good afternoon, sir. Do you have a reservation?" she asked. This was a standard question I was prepared for. Yes, under the name Smith, I replied. She typed on her computer. Yes, Mr. Smith. We have you for 3 nights in a King Superior room. Could I please see your passport and a credit card for incidentals? The word incidentals refers to potential extra charges like minibar or room service. It's a common hotel term. I handed over the documents. She processed them efficiently and handed me key cards. Your room is on the 12th floor, room 1207. The elevators are to your left. Breakfast is served between 6:30 and 10 a.m. in the restaurant on the mezzanine level. Is there anything else I can assist you with? This was a lot of information at once: floor, room number, elevator location, breakfast time, and location. I focused on the keywords: 12th floor, room 1207, elevators left, breakfast 6:30 to 10. No, that's perfect. Thank you, I said. I walked towards the elevators, feeling a profound sense of accomplishment. The entire chain, from the first airport check-in to this hotel check-in, had been a continuous, real-world English test. Every listened-to announcement, every understood question, and every clear response had built upon the last. The airport was the gateway, but the language skills it required were the key that unlocked the entire journey. I pressed the elevator button, ready to finally unpack and rest, my ears still tuned to the new rhythms of this English-speaking city. The deep, dreamless sleep of exhaustion was abruptly broken by the shrill ring of the hotel phone. I fumbled for the receiver. Hello? I mumbled, my voice thick with sleep. Good morning, Mr. Smith. This is your requested wake-up call, a cheerful voice said. Thank you, I managed to reply before hanging up. I had completely forgotten I'd set one. The disorientation was intense. For a moment, I had no idea where I was. This is jet lag, I thought, a common experience for international travelers. The term jet lag refers to the tiredness and disorientation felt after a long flight across time zones. My body felt heavy, but I knew the best way to fight jet lag was to get on the local schedule immediately. I needed coffee. I remembered the clerk mentioning the restaurant on the mezzanine level. I took a quick shower, the hot water helping to shake the grogginess. As I dressed, I practiced a simple question in my head: is breakfast still being served? It was a straightforward query, but practicing it built confidence. Small, predictable interactions like this are the building blocks of navigating a new environment. I left my room and found the elevators. The restaurant was bright and bustling. A hostess greeted me with a smile. Good morning, table for one? She asked. Yes, please, I replied. She led me to a small table by the window and handed me a menu. Your server will be right with you. I scanned the menu, recognizing most items. When the server arrived, she held a coffee pot. Coffee? She asked. Yes, please, I said, and she poured a steaming cup. This simple exchange required no complex language, just a willingness to engage. She then asked, Are you ready to order, or do you need a few more minutes? I had decided. I'll have the scrambled eggs and toast, please. How would you like your eggs? She asked. This was a specific follow-up question I was ready for. Well done, please, I said. The entire interaction was smooth and efficient. Sitting there with my coffee, watching the city come to life outside, I felt a quiet triumph. The journey was truly complete. The listening skills honed in the airport had seamlessly transferred to this new context. I had understood the hostess, the server's questions, and successfully communicated my own simple requests. This was the real goal of the practice, not just to survive the airport, but to thrive in the moments that came after. The confidence gained from understanding announcements and dialogues was now fueling my first steps into a new city, one clear interaction at a time. The scrambled eggs and toast were exactly what I needed. As I finished my breakfast, I overheard a conversation at the next table. A couple was discussing their plans for the day, trying to decipher a map. The concierge said the museum is within walking distance, but this map makes it look far, the woman said. The man replied, he said to head north on this main street for about 5 blocks. I listened, realizing this was another form of listening practice, overhearing directions and advice. The word concierge, a hotel employee who assists guests with information and services, was a new term to add to my vocabulary. I decided I would also visit the concierge later. But first, I needed to return to my room and plan my day. Back in the quiet of room 1207, I turned on the television, flipping to a local news channel. The meteorologist was giving the weather forecast. We have a beautiful day ahead, sunny skies with a high of 24 degrees Celsius. A perfect day for exploring the city. I made a conscious effort to understand the temperature in Celsius, a small but important adaptation. The announcer spoke clearly, but at a natural speed for native speakers. This was excellent, unfiltered practice. Later, I approached the concierge desk. A man in a crisp suit smiled. "How can I help you this morning, sir?" he asked. I had prepared my question. "I'm interested in seeing the city's main attractions." "What would you recommend?" He launched into a well-rehearsed but helpful explanation. "I highly recommend starting with the historic square. It's a short walk. From there, you can catch the hop-on hop-off bus tour. It gives a great overview. The bus comes every 20 minutes. He handed me a brochure. You can purchase tickets directly on the bus. The phrase hop-on hop-off bus was key. It's a ubiquitous term for tourist buses that allow you to disembark and reboard at various stops. I thanked him and walked out of the hotel's rotating doors, the city air feeling fresh and full of promise. The sounds were different from the airport's, car horns, the distant siren of an emergency vehicle, snippets of conversations from passers-by. My listening journey had evolved. It was no longer about navigating a controlled system of procedures, but about absorbing the living, breathing language of a new place. Every overheard word, every understood direction, was a small victory, building upon the foundation laid during those critical hours at the airport. I turned north, as the concierge had advised, and started walking, my ears open and ready. The city streets were a vibrant tapestry of sounds, a stark contrast to the regulated environment of the airport. I found the bus stop for the tour bus exactly where the concierge had said it would be. A red double-decker bus was just pulling up, its top open to the sunshine. A man in a uniform stood beside the open door. "Hop on, hop off city tour. All-day ticket. Next bus leaves in 5 minutes," he called out. This was my chance to practice a real-time transaction. I approached him. "1 ticket, please," I said. "That'll be $35 for the all-day pass," he replied. I handed him my credit card. He processed it on a small mobile machine and handed it back with a ticket. "Here you go. You can sit upstairs for the best views. We provide headphones for the commentary in 16 languages. The transaction was complete. The words all day pass and commentary were new in this context, but I understood their meaning from the situation. I climbed the narrow staircase to the top deck and found a seat near the front. I plugged in the headphones and selected the English channel. A calm, recorded voice began speaking in my ears. Welcome to our city tour. We'll begin our journey in the historic district, passing buildings that date back to the 18th century. On your left, you'll see the old town hall. This was perfect. It was a controlled listening exercise, but about real, visible things. I could match the words I was hearing with the sights I was seeing, reinforcing my comprehension in a powerful way. The bus turned a corner, and the voice said, "Ahead of us is the magnificent Royal Park, a green oasis in the heart of the city." I saw the vast expanse of green and understood the phrase green oasis. This contextual learning is incredibly effective. The commentary continued, pointing out statues, museums, and theaters. I listened not just for information, but for the rhythm and intonation of descriptive English. The bus ride became a moving classroom, and with every recognized landmark and understood sentence, my confidence grew another notch. I was no longer just a passenger, I was an active participant in the language. The recorded commentary on the bus was a fantastic guide, but I decided it was time for a more authentic test. I got off at a stop marked Historic Market Square. The moment my feet touched the cobblestones, the soundscape changed completely. The dominant sound was no longer a single voice in my ears, but a rich mix of dozens of conversations, the calls of market vendors, and the lively strumming of a street musician. This was unstructured listening, the ultimate challenge. I took a deep breath and plunged into the crowd. I wandered past stalls overflowing with colorful fruits and handmade crafts. A vendor held out a sample. "Fresh apple pie, baked this morning," he announced. I took the sample and smiled. "Thank you," I said. The simple interaction was successful. Further on, another vendor called out, "Beautiful handmade scarves. $10 each." I listened to the rhythm of his sales pitch. The intonation was friendly but persuasive. I wasn't just hearing words, I was hearing a cultural exchange. I found a small cafe with outdoor seating, a perfect spot to observe and listen. I ordered a coffee from a waitress who spoke quickly. "Sure thing, anything else?" "Our pastries are fresh." I understood her perfectly. "Just the coffee, thanks." As I waited, I eavesdropped on the conversations around me. A group of friends was discussing a movie. Two business people were having a meeting. I couldn't understand every word, but I grasped the main topics. This eavesdropping practice is invaluable. It trains your brain to pick out key information from a flowing, natural conversation without the pressure of needing to respond. My coffee arrived. The waitress said, "Here you go. Enjoy." It was a simple phrase, but it signaled a completed transaction and a moment of rest. Sitting there, sipping my coffee amidst the buzz of the square, I felt a deep sense of integration. The structured English of the airport and the bus had given me the tools to access this unstructured, living language all around me. Every laugh, every fragment of conversation, every vendor's call was no longer noise, but a thread in the vibrant fabric of the city, and I could finally understand its pattern. The sun was high in the sky, and the market square buzzed with an energy that was both exhilarating and exhausting. I decided to head back towards my hotel, but my route took me past the entrance to a sprawling, modern train station. Intrigued, I walked inside. The atmosphere was instantly familiar, a vast, echoing space filled with the sounds of hurried footsteps, rolling suitcases, and public announcements. It was another complex system to navigate, another listening challenge. I felt a surge of confidence. This was a chance to apply my sharpened skills in a new but related context. I looked up at the giant departure boards, so similar to the FIDS at the airport. The destinations were different, cities within this country, but the structure of the information was the same: train number, destination, time, status, platform. I heard a crisp announcement. The Intercity Express service to Capital City, departing at 14:30 from Platform 5, is now ready for boarding. Passengers with standard class tickets, please proceed to carriages 1 through 10. The vocabulary was slightly different: platform instead of gate, carriages instead of rows, but the underlying language pattern was identical. I watched the flow of people heading towards the platforms, listening to the snippets of conversations at the ticket counters. A return ticket to the coast for tomorrow, please. Is this the direct line to the airport? The interactions were familiar, yet the context was new. I realized that the listening framework I had built at the airport was transferable. The ability to filter key information from background noise, to anticipate questions, and to understand standardized announcements was a skill that worked in any transit hub. I didn't need a train ticket, but I felt empowered knowing I could get one. I stood there for a few more minutes, just listening, allowing the sounds of the station to solidify the connection in my mind between the airport's English and the world beyond it. The journey had started with a single flight, but the ability to understand was a ticket to endless destinations. I turned and walked out of the station, the city's sounds welcoming me back, now feeling less like an outsider and more like a participant. The walk back to the hotel was a reflective one. My feet ached, but my mind was buzzing with the success of the day. I had navigated a new city using the very English skills I had practiced in the airport. The connection was undeniable. The clear, instructional language of the airport had been my training ground for the more fluid, conversational English of the city streets. I thought about the key moments: the boarding announcement, the taxi driver, the concierge, the market vendor. Each one was a building block. Back in my room, I decided to do something productive with this energy. I took out my notebook and began jotting down all the new words and phrases I had encountered. Hop on, hop off, green oasis, all-day pass, return ticket. Then I wrote down the familiar ones from the airport that had formed my foundation: boarding, gate, check-in, passport control. Seeing them side by side was powerful. The specialized vocabulary of air travel had given me the confidence to acquire the general vocabulary of tourism. I turned on the television again, this time to a local talk show. The host was interviewing an author. They were speaking at a natural pace, using idioms and casual expressions. I couldn't understand everything, but I found I could follow the gist of the conversation. This was the next level of listening practice, moving from transactional language to expressive, opinion-based language. I didn't feel discouraged by what I didn't understand, I felt motivated by what I did. This, I realized, was the ultimate goal. The airport was the perfect, self-contained module to learn from because its language is predictable and essential. Mastering it creates a feedback loop of success. That success builds the confidence to tackle more unpredictable environments, like a market square or a television dialogue. The journey through the airport wasn't just about getting on a plane, it was about building a linguistic toolkit for the entire adventure. I closed my notebook, the words on the page a tangible record of a day spent not just sightseeing, but actively listening and connecting. The following morning, standing once again in the departures hall for my return flight, the experience was profoundly different. The same symphony of chaos played, the beeping carts, the muffled announcements, the thousand conversations, but now, I could distinguish the individual instruments. I heard the specific gate change for a flight to Frankfurt, understood the agent explaining a baggage fee to a frustrated passenger, and effortlessly followed the directions to my own check-in counter. The anxiety was gone, replaced by a quiet competence. This was the true value of the practice. It wasn't just about memorizing phrases, it was about developing an ear for the rhythm and pattern of airport English. It was about understanding that final boarding call carries a specific urgency, that please proceed is a polite instruction, and that estimated departure time is a cautious promise. This nuanced understanding transforms the journey from a stressful test into a familiar process. As I handed my passport to the agent, I realized this skill was a gift that extended far beyond the tarmac. The confidence to listen carefully, to ask for clarification, and to navigate complex systems is applicable in every corner of life, in any country. The airport was merely the training ground. The real destination was this feeling of self-assurance, the knowledge that I could communicate and understand in a global language. My flight was called. I walked towards the gate, not as a nervous traveler, but as a confident participant in a world without borders. I found my seat, stowed my bag, and fastened my seatbelt. The captain's voice came over the speaker, welcoming us aboard and outlining the journey home. I understood every word. I leaned back, closed my eyes, and smiled. The journey was complete, but the ability to listen, truly listen, was a companion I would take with me everywhere.